What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is MechaWill, and today we're going to be reacting to some of the hugest news that I've ever seen in my life. It is a very big story that happened today. We're going to be taking a look at what happened with the Xbox team and some really important next-gen information. So let's get right down to it. Why don't we start with going to the, let's see here, screen share. Some of the Xbox news that we've seen. We're going to go to the Xbox news section, welcoming the talented teams and beloved game franchises of Bethesda to Xbox. So, as you guys can probably see from the title, Xbox, or the Microsoft company, has purchased, in one of the largest gaming deals ever, $7.5 billion, they purchased Bethesda. To be more specific, they purchased Zenimax Studios, which means they purchased everything that Zenimax owns. That is the publisher and parent company to Bethesda Game Studios, to id Software, to Arcane. You guys can see that on the list down here. So they basically bought all of these big studios that originally were running independent, and you guys know these studios for games like Doom. You guys know them for Dishonored, for Prey, and one of the big ones is the Elder Scrolls and the rumored upcoming Starfield. So you guys probably understand what's going on. Let's go ahead and read exactly what happened here. It says from Phil Spencer, Philly boy himself, September 21st. Today's a special day we're welcome to, as we welcome some of the most accomplished studios in the games industry to Xbox. We're thrilled to announce Microsoft entered into an agreement to acquire ZeniMax Media, the parent company of Bethesda Softworks. As one of the largest, most critically acclaimed, privately held developers and publishers in the world, Bethesda is an incredibly talented group of over 2,300 people. That's huge. Most of these game studios, including some of the like Sony PlayStation 5 studios, have a couple hundred people, which is great. They're able to make really, good work happen, and a lot of work does get exported. For something like The Last of Us, you do end up having like 2,000 people working on it, but it's still a big deal. Something like Days Gone was made with a team of like 50 to 100 people. So knowing that, 2,300 people is huge. And of course, that accounts for all those different studios that we have. They bought Bethesda Softworks, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, ZeniMax Online. They're doing the Elder Scrolls Online right now. Arcane, they do the Dishonored. They're actually publishing, funnily enough, a PlayStation 5 exclusive game. But they're now owned by Microsoft, but they will be continuing to release that game. And Machine Games, those guys do Wolfenstein, I think. And Tango Gameworks, those guys do Evil Within, I think. Alpha Dog, I'm not quite sure. And Roundhouse, I think those are mobile studios, but still big acquisitions for them. And you can see Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Doom, Dishonored, Prey, Quake, Starfield, and a lot more. They go on. It's not too long of an article, but it says basically, Xbox and Bethesda have always had this partnership. If you guys recall, back at the 360 gen, they had an exclusivity deal with Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, which is crazy to me because that's one of my favorite games ever, and I played it on the PlayStation. But originally, that was a launch title, I think, in 2005 for Xbox, and that was a really big deal. And even before that, they had their first console launch for the Elder Scrolls series with Morrowind back on the original Xbox, I think, which is crazy. And it was really buggy, but people loved it. And so they've always had this sort of collaboration. And you've been seeing it. They got the DLCs first on Xbox for Oblivion. And they've even made a lot of public statements saying, hey, we kind of prefer the ecosystem of Xbox. It's just they line up with our values more. This is huge. We're going to discuss the impact of this at the end of this video, but let's get to the end of the article real quick. If you've read the article, skip ahead a little bit and we'll talk about it. It looks like, Bethesda's games have a special place. Our teams have a close history of working together, including with the amazing first Doom and id Software, or Intech engine, innovating games on PC, and Bethesda bringing their first console game to the original Xbox, like we said, the Elder Scrolls Morrowind. There's been lots of conversations about how to reach games, how to reach gamers in more ways and be creative, and lots of corporate speak here. Easy enough to figure out. They took their bold first steps of bringing the Elder Scrolls franchise to the original Xbox. They were supporters of the Xbox Game Pass. And what's really big about this news, so they say basically, we love Bethesda, they love us. It makes sense for us to do this partnership. And they've recently purchased them basically. So What that means for us is a lot as gamers here. Let's move back to this screen here. It's a big deal. First of all, the biggest impact that you're going to see is, and I think they've confirmed this already in some multiple tweets and stuff like that, which is having the Bethesda Game Studios games coming day one to Game Pass. If you guys don't know what Game Pass is, you may be living under a rock. I'm not sure. It's a very big service right now with gamers that basically allows you to pay a monthly fee, and they've done a bunch of deals to make it really, I guess, worthwhile to people buying it. And you basically get a catalog of games, much like Netflix, where you can stream and download those games on your console and on PC, which is awesome. And the game collection and library has only been growing, but recently, with the new generation of Xboxes coming out, they've been focusing so hard on making the content and quality level of Game Pass service specifically the best it can be. Having that additional money every month from subscribers and making that a huge player base, I assume, is the most important thing to Microsoft right now. So what this means is we're going to get all of the Bethesda, the id, the Tango Gameworks, all of their games, just like the rest of Xbox's first-party games, are coming day one to Game Pass. So let's say 2021 Starfield comes out. Starfield, being the new Bethesda Game Studios IP, will be huge, you hope, right? Because they do Fallout and all that. And that will come out day one for free for people that already subscribe to players of Game Pass. That in and of itself gives this massive value proposition for people to buy an Xbox, either before they get a Nintendo or a PlayStation device, or as a supplementary device, which I think is a market that a lot of people ignore. The idea that because they now have this like $300 cheap system, you can really afford to buy both. And I know people say, hey, like, I don't have enough money to buy both. But if you buy a $400 PlayStation and a $300 Xbox, or to be honest with you, you assume like within a year or two that Xbox is going to go even lower in price, you could very well walk away with a massive catalog of Bethesda games, Xbox Game Studios games, Obsidian games they recently purchased, Ninja Theory, all of these cool developers' games, day one for literally what ends up being 15 or 10 or 15 a month for that service. And of course, there's lots of deals where you get to convert your Xbox Live memberships into Game Pass Ultimate memberships, which you can look up how to do that. But it basically makes the service incredibly cheap, if not nearly free, for buying their live online service. So you get a huge collection of games. This is a big deal. What this means is when you're buying your next console, you now have a lot more things to think about. And with a lot of people, I think economically, at least in the United States, but I think even globally, having less money in their pockets this season, it's really tempting, even lacking some of the exclusives from the PlayStation and the Nintendo side of things, to pick up a Xbox Series S. They're doing a monthly payment like a phone instead of just paying up outright. So buy it for $20 a month and then $10 a month on that, and you literally have access to next-gen gaming with some of the top brands, and you don't even have to go out and buy the disc. That's incredible to me. So keep an eye out on that. I guess my basic reactions to it are, I think this and announcing it right a day before pre-orders happen is really going to push some people, even people that have bought a PlayStation even recently because they just had their pre-orders, is going to push them to buy an Xbox as a supplementary console. And what that means is that you're going to see this generation, my opinion, at least for the first part, Xbox is not going to be shy about their numbers because they know they're the underdog. They know that they've kind of come up into this, I guess, battle of sales figures for this generation as the underdog. So even showing numbers that are slightly under PlayStation's is going to look like they've made a lot of ground. And to be honest, I really think they have. Socially and all that. I think that, last generation, you saw a lot of like Microsoft doesn't know how to treat their developers. They cancel a lot of games. They don't have any exclusives. Their studios aren't that good. And you don't hear any of that now. It's all pretty positive press for Microsoft. So for those of you guys that are kind of thinking about, hey, what system should I get? I hate to say it, but the biggest value right now in gaming is getting a Game Pass and a Series S. And that's something that Microsoft has capitalized on more than anybody this generation or last generation, is getting value into the system for a cheap price. And I think that's going to do wonders for them. With the Nintendo Switch, you've got a console that is probably never going to go on sale for its entire lifetime, and games that will never go on sale for its lifetime. And for the PlayStation 5, you have what is basically a focus on a powerful machine and first-party exclusives. I think that's a good strategy for them. I don't really know another way that they could play it moving forward, but they're going to really be pressed and have that competition now from Microsoft to create maybe to buy some more studios or to create some new franchises to really show why they have an immense amount of value on their end, because Microsoft is killing it and knocking it out of the park recently. When I read this and saw this, it exploded my brain into a million fragments and pieces. I can't believe it. Still really can't believe it. And I know that if this were last gen, I'd be pretty sad, because I wouldn't have purchased an Xbox console back then. I didn't have a lot of money back then, and I've always primarily played on PlayStation and PC. And I mean, the nice thing, I think, is that Game Pass and all that sort of stuff is available on PC if you're a PC gamer. So if you're looking to play some of these Bethesda games, if Elder Scrolls 6 ends up being exclusive to Xbox, well, you're going to have to go out and buy an Xbox if you want it, or you can play it on the PC. And while I think there's less people than you think out there that have like a gaming, like an actual gaming PC, kind of equipped for that, I do think that that's a viable option. But for $300, it's really hard to beat the Series S and the Game Pass setup. So tell me what you guys think about this news. This is pretty crazy to me. You can tell me in the comments below, and I'll respond to them. And if there's more news coming out, we'll do some live reactions. But yeah, that's a pretty cool update from the Microsoft team, and it's a kind of knock out of the park moment for them right before this next gen starts, with it really within the next month. So if there's more news, keep your eyes here, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. It helps me out. If you like the video, the thumbs up also helps as well. And I'll see you guys for the next video. Adios.